host. Thank you for listening. On the show this week, a really great episode. I'm really excited to share this one with you. On the show today is my friend, storyteller Jake Hart. Jake is a guy I've known for a couple of years, and his storytelling show at the Dump, the show is called The Dump at the Creek and the Cave in Long Island City, Tuesdays, 8 to 10. This show is really important to me in my development as a stand-up comedian because prior to discovering his show, doing open mics and sets in New York, I was mostly focused on short jokes, set up, punchline, get to the funny part as quickly as possible, laughs per minute efficiency. And I didn't know about this other community that exists in the I still put it under the umbrella of the comedy community because that's essentially, I think, what we're going to. But the storytelling community is a really great and an important audience. And I grew so much from going to Jake's mic because for the first time I was able to do long form stories that still had punchlines, but I was doing it in a place where those were the expectations, and I was given the freedom to be able to construct a narrative and have funny lines, but then also have moments where there wasn't anything funny happening and allow it to build, where for some reason I was not getting that at the same stand-up comedy open mics that I would be going to. And his show is a big part of why I was able to develop my one-man show, which I'm in the process of booking again in New York City. I'm trying to find venues for it. If anyone is out there, feel free to shoot me a message through my website, willcarryisfunny.com. And Jake's the guy. When I first met him, I thought he was kind of, for lack of a better phrase, rough around the edges. Like he came off with a very different kind of energy to me, and we talk a bit about that. But I really dug getting a chance to talk with him, and I'm hoping, I think anyone, if you're interested in comedy, will get a lot out of some of our chat as well. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. Before we get into the interview again, I just want to real quick plug, if you guys listen and enjoy the show, a quick way to help support it would be to just tell a friend about it. If you enjoy the show and you think you know someone else who might as well, just let them know it exists, and I would appreciate that very much. And again, I'll be doing, if you want to see me come do a nice long set of stand-up comedy, I'm going to be at QED July 20th at 7:30 p.m. in Astoria, Queens for a $5 ticket. Me, Tyler Richardson, and Christy Cello. And we're going to have a really good night. So if you can come out, it's a $5 ticket, and I'd appreciate you being there. And let's go to my chat with my friend, Jake Hart.
I don't know if people did podcasts on their phones.
I did at least one that was on a phone. Sounded fine.
Yeah.
But it didn't. But again, I'm like super OCD about that kind of stuff. So I'm just like,
right.
if I'm going to do a podcast, I need to have boom arms, and I need nice microphones and like a real recorder.
Oh yeah, phones are good for recording dirty cops and adulterers.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want something.
Old racists.
Yes.
gotta catch the old racists.
Put your phone away. You look like one of those fucking. Nope.
Mm-hmm. And there you go. There's your investment gone right down the tubes.
You.
Yeah. So I'm glad I have you on, Jake, because you're. I don't know if you know this, but you figure prominently in my development as a comedian.
Has this started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just figured I'd just slip it in,
Yeah.
Just slip it in real nice.
Thanks. For making it creepy.
Right. Well, because your show, The Dump, was like the first time I ever did long form bits or like a long form story.
Right. Yeah.
That was not just set up punchline and just trying to get like laughs per minute and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, that's all born out of me just not being good at setup and bits.
Yeah.
Like when I tried doing stand up, I basically would just like ramble on about dumb shit I did. So like that's where my storytelling birth came out of. It's just not being able to do stand up well.
So you did try to do. You were doing stand up first.
I did try to do stand up first. Yeah.
When was that?
That was I'd probably say 2005. I tried doing it a couple times at one open mic that you used to do under Siberia Bar back in 2005.
Okay.
And then like I dropped that, tried improv, and then kind of gave up on improv for a little bit and started doing stand up again. After I got banned from UCB, so I was like, well, improv's out the window now, I guess. Let's go back to setups and bits.
What was that story again, if I can ask you?
Oh, fuck. I got way wasted. And do you want the long version or the...
Yeah, whatever you want, man.
Okay, so that I was off that day, and I walked by Barnes and Nobles, and I realized that Lewis Black was doing a book signing, and my sister was in Japan at the time. She was feeling homesick, and she was a fan of his, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll do my one good thing for the year, and like I'll go wait in line, get a signed copy of that, and then like send it to her, trying to be a good big brother. And then like while I'm waiting in line, I see on the CD rack there's a copy of Please Kill Me, the oral and censored history of punk, signed by Legs McNeil, the author. And like in my mind just clicked, and I go like, I need to steal this.
Right.
If I paid for this, I'd be a pussy.
Right. That wouldn't be punk rock.
No, I mean like that whole label is just bullshit anyway. But like in my mind, it was just like, yeah, man, I got a fucking money for this book. Legs wouldn't want me to buy this book. It's like, yeah, right. So
I agree. Most punk rockers' like idea of what real punk is like just like truancy, like just abject.
Yeah, it's also bullshit because like I'm not like a high schooler. I'm 26 at the time of this story, so it's just way lamer. Like I've talked about this in podcasts before, and I was like, yeah, that was pretty punk of me. And then like, immediately after I said it, I was like, you fucking tool. Right. So
you decide you got to steal the book.
I got to steal the book, and then like I put it in the bag with the book I'd gotten. I went there to buy. Went in the line, met Lewis Black, shook hands, went to walk out of the store. And I walked out of the store. I stole the book. It was great. It was very easy. Nothing went off. And I was very proud. And I went and celebrated with like 3 Dallas barbecue big fuck margaritas with an extra shot. If it's a New York thing, if those of you don't know.
I've never been to Dallas barbecue.
I worked at Dallas barbecue for like fucking about 3 years. Probably a little more, mainly in Times Square. And they're like these giant, like, king... like little goblet things full of frozen drinks, and then like pay another $1, you get a test tube of an extra shot. Yeah. I drank 3 of those at my discounted employee rate, and then I went over to UCB to watch an improv show there. And then I sat down, cracked open a beer, started watching it, and then I got blackout. And I wake up, and like then I'm confused about something that's in my bag, but I'll go back to that. And then like the next day, I'm just like, I realized like I got this bottle of whiskey in my bag actually, and I was like, why the fuck? And I was like, oh god, oh man, oh god. And I went back to the next day, and there's the same stage manager from the night before, and he let me know that I went backstage at some point during a solo mic that I'd signed up for. Right. But like I was so blackout drunk then, I saw a bottle of Jim Beam backstage that was being used as a prop for a sketch, and I just walked over to it, just grabbed it, stuffed it in my bag, and left the theater.
Just all in a blackout.
Yeah, all in a blackout. I don't remember doing this whatsoever, and then I went running around the city, and then like the next thing I remember is I wake up in my apartment and just like, why are my bags so heavy? And then I opened up the bag, and it turns out I'd stolen the bottle, but not the cap. So the entire inside of my book bag, including my work clothes, my joke book, and the book I'd stolen that afternoon was covered in Jim Beam. Yeah, my sister's book was fine though. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I know. That's the only good thing.
And when did they tell you that you're not welcome back at UCB?
I went and talked to another stage manager who knew me there, and I was like trying to apologize for him because he was like higher up, and he was just the angriest fucking leprechaun of a human being I'd ever met. And he was like, dude, you fucking stole something. Get out of here. And I was like, I did the Charlie Brown walk away. And
Like in Arrested Development, just the slow
Yeah.
piano music playing in your head.
Yeah, like that. And then, yeah, he wasn't having me for like about a year.
Right.
And then, like a year went by, my sister was actually in town, and I was trying to take her around and show her what, kind of whatever progress I guess I'd made. And I was like, it's been a year. I'm pretty sure they're fine with me now. And I went downstairs. It was checking out Death by Ruru. It was like the greatest improv group in New York City of all time. And I went down there and who should be running the booth but fucking everybody's favorite leprechaun. And he looks at me and he just immediately shakes his head no, and without saying anything. I'm just like, oh, come on. It's been like a year. It was a prop. He's like, yeah, you stole a prop. And I was like, oh, okay, dude, I'm not here to fucking party. I'm not here to ruin anything. I'm not here to be an asshole. I'm just here to study comedy. These guys are the best. I want to fucking watch and learn. And if I got to do whatever I got to do to fucking get in there, if I have to suck a mile of cock to do it, whatever, I'm going to fucking do this. And he just stares at me. And then he says, if you fuck up again, I'm like, no, I won't. And he's like, shut up. If you fuck up again, you're gone for life. And I'm like, that's fair. Thanks for not bringing up the mile of cock. And then, I went up to tell my sister, and she started to freak out. She's like, no, I don't want to sit in a fucking theater where everybody's watching you, waiting for you to break something because you're drunk or whatever. And
Right.
so we didn't go down. We went to, a gay bar instead.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but, I think it was, the next year or something like that. Like, a little while later, it was, the Del Close Marathon was happening, which is, a whole 3-day weekend of improv, 72 hours of straight improv, and just parties backstage and whatever, just hanging back there. And the third day, I'm drunk and I'm just doing whatever in the back, and I look up from my seat, and dude, the leprechaun's there, and he's like, hey, I thought I told you not to drink here anymore. And I was like, no, you did not. You told me not to fuck up in here anymore. He's like, okay, you're right. How you been? And he sat down and we have a drink. So, yeah.
Oh, so there's a good conclusion to that story.
Eventually.
Yeah.
It took way too long. I mean, it's I get it, but at the same time, other people told me, man, I thought when you started telling the story that you, broke, furniture on somebody or something like that.
You
no.
you punched somebody,
No.
or you did, or you came at somebody, or interrupted a show or something like that.
No, man, it was my fucking wet brain was just keep me wet, and just did something for that.
I have, and don't take this the wrong way. I'm trying to imagine you doing improv because
Please don't.
Because you're such when you do stories, you are just so uniquely forceful.
Yeah.
In your own way.
That's why I didn't do well in improv.
Right. So I'm just imagine, and I imagine if you're doing improv at UCB, you would be terrifying to most people.
I don't know if I would be terrifying. It's just in very wooden in a scary way, I guess. So maybe that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because with improv, you need to have a very let's do this together mindset, very group mind and all that shit. And I'm just fuck you, you're not me.
Right.
And what do you know about anything? Kind of set. So it makes it really hard for improv.
No, yeah, exactly. When I was in college, and taking just a comedy class for a credit, I got the TA told me you don't have a mind for improv, you got a mind for stand up.
Right.
Which now that I'm thinking listening to people talk about what the mind of a stand up is just I feel it's almost was he telling me I'm just naturally good at just being alone and mulling over my own thoughts.
Right.
So I feel sometimes what makes me, when I'm good on stage, the things that are making me good on stage are just destroying me in the other parts of my life.
Oh, well, Bukowski said, find whatever you love and let it kill you. So, I mean, maybe you're doing that.
That might be it.
I mean, I failed at both improv and stand-up, so don't take any advice from me.
Is it? I don't think you're still in comedy, though.
I'm still in comedy, but in a weird way. I mean, storytelling isn't isolated to comedy by far, but that's the kind of stories I end up telling.
Right.
Usually.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I talked to David Lawson about this too, because we were talking about how some between some storytellers and some comedians, there's a schism between the two worlds. But it's sort of just like a painter working or like a visual artist working in different mediums, I think.
I would never get that sophisticated in describing anything I do.
And I think the long form description of your emotional and physical decline is
a decline. It's all a decline.
It's sort of unique to you. And no, because I kind of want to trace that because, and I know you would definitely have some opinions on this because, and I said this when you when you were at my roast, is that for the fun. Kind of story, which was really fun. I enjoyed your set so much, especially when you pulled up the song that me and Benel did, which I personally think, and just to give you an idea of what my other songs probably sounded like, that I look at that and go, that's one of the best songs I ever wrote or was ever a part of.
Oh my God! As soon as Benel started singing, my ears started folding in on themselves. Love you, Benel.
Yeah, no, I love him. I love him too. I had him on. He was like episode 3, I think.
Oh yeah.
So and it's something that you said on my roast is like, or I said to you is, I think you want to hate me. Like those kind of stories I tell in my general demeanor, everything about your life is telling you to hate me, but for some reason you can't.
Yeah, I mean, like by all accounts, I should not be your friend on the surface level.
Right.
But because it's just like on music alone, it's just like, oh God, what yellow card? Go die in a fire. But
there's so and yellow cards. That's like one of the ones. Like there's so many more that you could rip.
I know. But like that's just the easy go-to one because that's the one I used to make fun of all the time when we were like big.
Right.
Yeah, because I used to do this thing where it's just like this guy's got like a bunch of dicks in his mouth while also playing the fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
I know. And like I don't do it now because now it just seems kind of like ugh. But that's what it's like. If I could find you, then looking better. It's like set it all on fire. God.
Right. You just wanna torch everything in front of you.
Yeah, and I'm like I'm as far as like punk crowd goes. I'm like very like mellow and easygoing, generally.
Right. Because I imagine we're going to very different types of shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we're like, because I know we both like. Because I like the bands that you like too. I just also like a lot of.
You like a lot of emo. And
I like a lot of emo pop. Kind of sugary nonsense also. But it's just what I grew up on. So let me see. I kind of want to trace this because I'm trying to. I want to try to find what makes you not hate me despite everything saying that you.
Well,
should.
there's a genuineness in all your stories that like one of the problems I have with like people who tell stories at the Moth is the feelings they're trying to emulate just sound made up and like they sound like bullshit and like melodramatic and up their own ass and like not real. They're just like, this is how I was made to cry. It's like, oh God, you deserve to cry. You deserve to cry till you're dead for trying to make me sympathize with you. And when you tell a story, it's just like, oh no, that's just him. That's just Will. That's how he goes about his day, and it's funny, and so he knows who he is. So hey.
No, yeah, that's my. No, yeah, that's the thing I try to hold to the most. Is like, yeah, that's like my first couple runs of doing my one-man show. I was like apologizing the entire time.
Sounds right.
Just for having a show.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better at that. But that's what I like about you too, because I sort of like, again, you're being very much you, like you're not. None of this that I'm looking at is an effect of any way. This is just kind of.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the biggest phony in the fucking planet, but like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like, we both have one-man shows, and like you have to be kind of, some kind of narcissistic dick to like just do one of those. Like, I am so important. An hour should be dedicated to me. An hour of me talking about me. It's like, ugh.
Exactly. As opposed to like somebody like a Colin Quinn who's like doing shows about the Constitution.
Right. He's like trying to change the country for the better, and I'm just like, I got drunk again and broke this time. So.
And whereas my shows is like, and then someone else that I was really close to fucked me over, and then I wrote some songs about it.
Yeah,
and
he got dumped and stayed in Baltimore again.
Oh, so glad I'm not there. So this is so. Let me see if I can kind of trace that. Like, where did you grow up, man?
I grew up in both Connecticut and Georgia. Like I moved from Connecticut to Georgia when I was 13.
What part of Connecticut?
From about till I was 2 to I think about 9 or 10. I was in London, Connecticut, and then Groton, Connecticut.
Okay.
They're right next to each other. Lived in there for about 5 years. 5 years, yeah, 4 or 5 years.
And what kind of towns are those? Are those like small towns?
No, you can't. Yeah, kind of like Groton's Navy suburbs, and New London was like it's a small like harbor. I don't know. Harbor makes it sound like more major than it is. Like New London, it's on the southeast coast of Connecticut. Mm-hmm. There's the Eugene O'Neill Theater there. But
Okay.
Like, my family, we lived in the projects.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like we're one of the only white families living in there. But it was weird because like I never really noticed that was never a thing when I lived there. It was something I was not made aware of. It was just like, okay, this is where I live. Hey, there's a lot of dirt. I like dirt. Let's go play in it. You know?
Right. You never were aware of your like socioeconomic status.
No.
Or that you were like bad off.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, it was just like, oh, this is what everything is, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's just.
I'm
sort
very
of like,
oblivious as a child, and the rest of the time I've been alive. Is me being oblivious. A lot of everything I have going for me, or just like have done, is because I'm just not aware of anything. I'm very, very good at not paying attention.
But the results are endlessly entertaining.
I hope. I mean, like some good needs to come out of all my dumb shit.
Yeah. So what? So you're growing up poor. What's your family life like? What are your folks doing?
Mom, mostly raised by mom. Dad lives like it's same neighborhood, but like a different house, like with him and like my grandma. Mm-hmm. You know, because I don't really remember my dad actually ever living with my mom. Like me and my sister, it was just like, okay, well, this is our weekend with dad. Like I guess that was it. It was like a common thing. Uh-huh. Like the neighborhood, like a lot of the neighborhood was just like criminals.
Right.
Yeah, like it was one of those things where my dad and my mom would get in an argument, and he'd be like, "What? It's not like I beat you." And like in that neighborhood, that really was a good thing a guy had going. If he didn't beat you, you were a catch.
Right. That was good for that was above.
The
norm.
Yeah, upper stratus kind of shit.
Uh-huh. That was the other thing I know that I kind of bonded with you over is dad stuff.
Dad stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we both have our shit with our dads. Although yours is way more severe than mine.
Because you had despite like I guess not really growing up with him, you so your parents were separated for most of your early life, or
I guess I just know they didn't live together. It was just like they were never really lived together. And again, this is all like when I'm a little kid, so it's like I'm only kind of paying attention to stuff. And it was like when one day it was like finally like, oh well, they're divorcing now. So
yeah, so it's just so they got divorced when you were younger.
Yeah. But like we were, everybody makes out like a divorce is like a traumatizing thing. It's like, and that's when my family I just went off the rails. I was like, oh no, that's
No.
That's when we both started getting our shit together.
Right. No, when my parents got divorced, I was like, finally.
Like, thank fucking Christ.
It probably should have happened before now.
Right?
No, yeah. So
like, do you guys? Have you ever gotten along? Why are you together?
Right.
That kind of thing.
So you experienced that too.
Yeah.
I remember. Because I definitely remember after my dad moved out, like when we did interact, it was better. Not good, but it wasn't as bad as it had been.
Right. But also as a kid like a boy growing up, I guess, especially in like the early and mid 90s, it was just like, so wait, it's just me and dad hanging out, and dad's gonna let me do whatever the fuck. Oh my god, this is great. Like
love being at dad's.
Oh yeah, I love being at dad's. He lets me eat whatever and then watch whatever. So and then eventually there was Nintendo. So it was like, who the fuck needs friends?
Yeah, no, I was the same. I had very minimal friends. I was just sort of like, because did you have brothers and sisters, or you?
Yeah, I had a sister growing up. I have like 3 siblings, but like during the majority of that, I had like just a sister. Mm-hmm. I had another younger sister come along like when I was, oh jeez, how old is she now? I think I was like 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I get the dates wrong, it's just because I
No, yeah, it's a long time ago. I can't remember things that happened earlier this week.
Yep.
It all just starts blending together. Because I also think New York is part of that also. Because everyone is just going all the time and never taking a break or taking stock of their present.
Yeah.
You're just kind of moving and doing and doing shows, or
you're constantly rushed.
Exactly. You're constantly rushed, and that's why I think New Yorkers resent tourists, because they look relaxed.
It does. I was in California for the first time last year, and I was in like Sebastopol, which is like a city below San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody just like moving at a comfortable pace, and there were smiles, and everybody was fine, happy to help you, and nothing smelled like piss, and I didn't hear any sirens, and I was uncomfortable the entire time. It was unnerving. I was close to having anxiety attacks because I didn't have that kind of shit around me, and I'm not even from here.
I know. No, because that is a native New Yorker trait. My girlfriend and I were in Oklahoma City a couple weekends ago for a friend of hers wedding, and I thought it was very nice. Definitely not the kind of town I would want to live in forever, but it's a place I didn't mind being. So we're at the rent-a-car counter, and the guy asked me, "Oh, what are you guys in Oklahoma for?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're here for a wedding. A friend of hers is getting married." And then as we're driving away, she starts going on this rant about, like, why the fuck is it any of his business?
Yeah, right.
Why I'm in Oklahoma? And I'm like, he works at the rent-a-car.
Just give me the goddamn keys.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, that's how people in the rest of the country talk, you elitist.
Yeah, I know.
And then the great line she said was, "I'm not elitist, I'm just an asshole."
Right. Well, I don't even know what that is. It's just like in New York, it's like we got so much going on.
Exactly.
And
we're
also
all here for a driven, specific purpose.
And anybody who's trying to slow you down and just being like, "Hey, slow down. What you doing? Take your time," is
like,
usually some kind of fucking creep.
Kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is suspect. One time, some guy came up to me. I was like, "I don't have any money, man." He just said, "It's like, no, I saw you at a show a year ago. Really
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, fuck me. I am an asshole." That's gonna bother me for a while.
Yeah. I was playing Angry Birds on the subway, and this guy just kind of sat me. He was like, "Oh, that looks intense," and I was like, "Why the fuck are you talking to me?" It's like, just I don't know. It looked intense, and I was like, "Stop talking to me right now." And I was in a bad mood. That had something to do with it, but at the same time, I was like, dude, obviously, you guys can't see this at home. I have a very angry face.
No, yeah, your head's shaved. You've got a big beard. You have a look that says,
I got murder eyes.
Murder eyes. I'm not going to say it's American History X-ish kind of.
Really, because everybody else has.
Well, I'm just saying you've got a look that doesn't automatically scream, "Engage with me in meaningless small talk."
Yeah, and I was like, "Ooh, what's the thing on your phone about?" It's like, "Get away!
I will kill you."
Yeah, like I
the
killed these
others.
green little piggies.
Yeah. I'm going to be throwing things at you.
I know, I mean, like, to be fair, that was kind of unnecessary. It's like, obviously, I would not want to talk to you. Why are you talking to me?
So, okay, so were you that? But you weren't like that growing up, were you? What kind of a kid were you?
No, I wasn't like that growing up. But like, I mean, honestly, I'm generally a friendly, approachable dude.
Yes.
Once, I there's always like a screening process, I guess, with me. It's like, do I shit on you? I'm gonna keep shitting on you until you give me a reason not to.
Right.
I know, because like a lot of maybe it's just also getting old. I'm just like, I don't need to know anybody else.
Right.
So when anybody else tries to get me to know me, it's just like, go.
You hit your personal friend limit max.
Yep, I got enough.
Just for life, yeah. Well, and a lot of times I find as I've gotten older, I have realized there's much less to care. So much actually matters that I don't get worked up about a lot. I didn't get worked up a lot when I was younger either, but I get worked up about even less now.
Yeah, I would. No, I mean, like certain things get me worked up. Like I'll still, like if somebody defends a bad movie, and I'm like a fan of bad movies, but like obviously it's like a mediocre movie, and I'll just like will not let up until they go sorry or they're right. Oh no, you're right.
Yeah. See, I counter that by saying I know it's garbage, but I don't hate it or I like it.
No. There's a lot of garbage movies I like. Fucking. I mean, not that it's a garbage movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Like Big Trouble in Little China is my favorite movie of all fucking time. You know, it's not obviously not Citizen Kane, but you know what? I've only wanted to see Citizen Kane once. I've seen Big Trouble in Little China at least 200 times.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, like I'm not a snob or anything, but just like when something's clearly just meh, don't go, oh, that was great. Don't say that.
Exactly.
It wasn't great.
Was not great.
No.
So when did you first see Big Trouble in Little China? Because I'm trying to place if you were like the
Probably, if not in the theater, as soon as it came out on VHS, because like it came out in '86, and like that's one of the earliest movies I remember seeing.
Okay.
Like that, like I remember seeing. Apparently, like I don't remember this obviously, but like Star Wars in the theater, like I used to just stand on the seat in the movie theater and go like, Luke Skywalker. Now I don't care, but like back then, yeah, I was all about that shit. I had all the figures.
Yeah, I was a big Star Wars kid too. So were you?
I think every kid was. If you were a kid, you're like laser shit, you know.
Right. It's like Star Wars and dinosaurs. A lot of kids love dinosaurs also because they're big and you can't. They're not around.
Kids
anymore.
like fantastical shit.
Yeah. So were you a geeky kid?
I was a dorky kid. There's a difference.
Okay, what's the difference?
Well, geeks and nerds are the same thing more or less. You know, nerds are a little more quieter and less awkward than geeks because like nerds are just like focused on what they're doing. Geeks will still try to like, you know, but it's like this and like everything gets like a little goofy. When they still try to like be, you know, talking to not awkward people.
Right.
Whereas dorks are just annoying. And like they don't have like any of the smarts, like necessarily the smarts or the skills of like a nerd or a geek. Like, but they'll just like try to be. They'll still be kind of like outgoing, more extroverted than a nerd or a geek will, I guess. And like dorks generally try to be funnier than geeks or nerds do, like off the bat. Like nerds and geeks generally, if I'm saying this right, like might be funny incidentally, just because of how they are. Whereas dorks are like trying to go out of their way, maybe for center of attention more. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Because a dork is like, dork means dick. That's what it means. It means penis. Like as a Far Side editorial note from Gary Larson pointed out to me, as like he was gonna like use the word dork in a comic. And then his editor pointed out that, like, oh, you can't use dork. That means penis. He's like, no, it doesn't. Yeah, dork means penis. What do you think it's meant this whole time? And he looked it up, like, oh, wow, dork means penis. All these years of calling people that or being called a dork, I never actually knew what it was. Penis. So
that would make sense for all comedians to be dorks.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was more of that. I was a very annoying kid. Trying to be funny all the time.
Okay, so you're not quite the class clown, but maybe just like the
more like a class punching bag.
Okay, so you took a lot of hits.
Oh yeah. Most of middle school was a hell.
Oh yeah, no, middle school.
I mean, middle schools are hell anyway. But like, if you're not on the top of the food chain, like Jesus.
I certainly was not. I took every shot you could take when I was in like 7th grade. If there was ever a year where I was gonna flip. And just lose my mind, 7th grade was the year.
Yeah.
I just took it. Like, and I don't know why. I guess maybe it's rooted in some sort of like fear that it's going to be them, and that's why kids pick on you. Some kids pick on you. But I was also bigger than all the other kids.
Yeah, you kind of have like an Angus thing going on.
Yeah, like the smaller kids would want to mess with me, and I never fought back. I think I would push people a couple times. I think I hit one kid once.
Do you have a weird thing about fighting? Like, what do
you mean?
Like when confronted with a fight, you're just like, your body's like, I don't know what to do. I'd rather not. Because like with the kids in my neighborhood, like all of them were like, you know, like to fight, or they're a fighter, or they're into that, or just like capable of doing it. Where I was just like, I don't know what to do. Help!
Right? No, I did not know how to fight. I did not know how to fight. I never sought out fights. I don't like confrontation now. I
hate it. Like again, regardless of this face, I can't fight. I do not like confrontation whatsoever. Not good at any of it.
Yeah. The only thing, the only thing I think about when it comes to like a physical confrontation is I wouldn't want to do it, but I have a feeling that if someone hit me and it hurt,
Yeah,
then I'm gonna not stop until
there is a switch you could probably flip on me, and then I will just like
I imagine,
black out and just go until I'm done.
Exactly. Next thing you wake up, there's a body in the corner, and the sirens are getting closer, and you're like,
my fingers are stuck in some guy's eye.
Yeah, you have like the Evil Dead.
Like ah!
Yeah. No, the couple of times
I was gouging at eyes with my thumbs right then.
Yeah, exactly. Like just full on Evil Dead. 28 days later, a thumb gouge. Because the one time and it wasn't even really a fight. Because in middle school there's a lot of like pushing or like challenging, like come on, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So one time I was walking in from gym, and this kid pushed me from behind, and it was like one of those times where I was just like, not today. So I remember turning around, pushing him back, and then him coming at me. But it was in the hallway of the locker room. So I was able to like prop up against the wall, hold him back with my arms, push him against the other side of the wall. And I didn't even hit him like I was trying to hurt him. I just kind of like at basically like
hooked him.
Yeah, but like not even like punching him. It was just more of like a gentle pushing, and then I just walked away. And I don't think I got in trouble for it. He tried to like mess with me later, but I just ignored him. I was very good at ignoring.
Oh yeah. There was one kid, Quinn, who picked on me all the time, and like one day, like we're on the bus, he's fucking around me, and like, like you said, like today's not that day, and then like I finally just like get the courage and I kick him in the face because we're fighting. He's messing with me, but we're also like we're on a bus. We're on a bus and we're sitting like opposite seats.
Yeah.
And it's like the dumbest way to fight. And then like, like, okay, well, here it goes. And I kick him in the face, and it connects, and it does fairly well, I think. And I was like, I'm kind of proud of myself for like half a second until he gives me my first serious black eye. Yeah, so that was cool. And then I think he might have gotten suspended, and I didn't. And then like apparently, like I didn't know this, but like him and like a couple friends were gonna jump me for getting him in trouble, as shithead kids do. But like it was really, there was a lot of shame in that. Not during that era, not just because I couldn't really take care of myself in a fight. It was because my dad lived in that town when he was a kid, and he would just fight everybody. Everybody knew like he did not give a fuck. He will kick your fucking ass or like go down. He'll take at least two of you down. He's that kind of. He's like a fucking Johnny Cash song minus the Jesus shit.
So he's just like a gruff dude.
Oh yeah, total badass fucking charismatic dude, and like so that like brought more shame. And like I didn't know this later, but like he was aware that like I wasn't that type of guy. Like he might have wanted me to try to be like that, stand up for myself at certain points, but he just realized like, he's a good kid who just wants to watch movies and make people laugh, I guess. And then like later on, I didn't know this till like years later. It was funny because like I was thinking about like trying a story for that night as a show I was telling, and I couldn't think of one. And I was also watching this porn about. About like a vice principal, and like this vice principal lesbian and like a younger student, like she taking her in office, and for some reason that triggered me like, oh yeah, I wonder what that's that time I got in a fight on the school bus. I remember that. Let me call my dad, see what he remembers about that time. And I called him up, and he was telling me like, oh yeah, that kid and his friends were gonna jump you. But like the word got to me that was gonna happen, so I went to your vice principal who knew me back when I was a kid, and I told her, I was like, hey, Ms. Ackerman, you remember me, Scott Hart? I was a bad kid. Bad guy. My son, not a bad kid. He was a good kid. He's just defending himself. And I'd rather you handle this whole thing where this Quint kid is going to jump him.
Yeah.
That would be better for me, because I tell you what, right now, I got no problem kicking the fuck out of a couple of 14-year-olds. I will literally stomp their guts out. They touch one hair on my son's head. And like you'd think like any school administrator who hears a parent say that shit is just like, well, hang here, I'll get the cops. And they're like, no, like this. She was like, she knew who my dad was. So she's like, all right, well, I hear you. Yeah, I'll let the proper parties know that's what's happening.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So self-correct.
Yeah. It was just like, everybody in the neighborhood knowing everybody, and just like, well, okay, well, probably shouldn't go with that move then. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there was that. That was a good thing.
Yeah.
That was a one cool thing he did. I mean, he did a lot of cool things, but like there was a lot of times I was like, could you just get your shit together and just like, come over here and help me out with stuff full time. But he thought like at the time, like, oh, I'm this way. Probably should stay away some of the time so it doesn't rub off on him, I guess. Whatever.
So he kind of knew. He was aware of who he was. And
to a point, he was aware of like how he was and like, what he'd like to do.
Right. And he thought that would affect you negatively if he was around more.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, at the time I imagine it hurt, but that's a surprisingly like it's
all kinds of conflicted about that,
No, yeah, exactly.
Position he took.
Yeah, it's because it's on one side it sounds like he was trying to do the right thing, but at the same time he wasn't. Right. It doesn't sound like he was doing the right thing.
So well, like thanks, I guess. And you're like, whatever. It's years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're this lost, bullied kid throughout most of your youth. Does that lead into you getting into punk rock?
No, that actually I don't know, because like that led me getting into religion.
Religion?
Yeah, I used to be religious. Not a lot of people like get to hear about that too often. But like, yeah, I was like moving from Connecticut to Georgia. Like my sister, I guess, made friends with people in a church in the neighborhood. And I was like, well, nobody was friends with me back home. Let's see what this is about. And it's like, it's mostly just joining it for like some kind of social acceptance.
For a community.
Yeah, anything. Friends, anybody who wants
to. What kind of Christianity, I'm assuming?
It was a Methodist church.
Methodist, okay.
Yeah, I never really adopted Methodism as my belief system or religion or anything. It was just like, well, this is the one I went to first.
Right. It's sort of just like any port of it in a storm.
Yeah.
Wow. So how long so you were attending church regularly?
Yeah. For a couple of years. I think
interesting.
I attended it more in like 10th and 11th grade, I believe. Senior year, like towards the latter half of senior year, I stopped. Like really, I started like, no, you know what? I don't think I am into this like it used to be, because it sounds like a crock.
Yeah, I remember having that moment too in my early teens, because I was going to church. I would go to church regularly when I was younger, and then I just kind of remember thinking, none of this really seems to make sense. And then when I learned what an atheist was, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm probably that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really felt like an atheist, because atheist to me is just like, well, this is it, case closed. And I'm just like, no, I just rather not be bothered with this.
And that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm because the atheism is a lot of energy for nothing, literally.
Yeah, it's just like, well, just don't bother with it.
No, yeah, and that's what I eventually settled into, because the most vocal atheists, and I'm sure there are people.
I mean, Bad Religion is my favorite band.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands. I've got the tattoo on me, but I'm still just like, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck the world, got shat out of, but like, I got other things to worry about, so it's not my concern. Like, again, we'll find out when I'm dead.
Exactly. Just focus in the now. So okay, so you're attending church for a couple of years, and this is when you've moved to Florida.
Georgia,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But it was like right above the Florida border, like fucking 10 minutes.
Gotcha. What part of Georgia?
Kingsland.
Kingsland.
It was a Navy town. Like, we moved because like my mom married my stepdad, Navy dude, and like transferred from Connecticut to Georgia.
Gotcha. Okay. And Georgia's when your first band started?
No. I tried getting into bands then, but like, no, I would mostly, that's when I got to Georgia, I started getting into theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did know this about you.
Yeah. I got into theater because like acting was a thing that I was pretty sure I could do. Because there was like actually a some group of actors or improvisers came to the school in middle school in Connecticut, and like I got up there and did like a scene or something, and then like later on when we were asked to write about it, like one of the guys who would normally kick my ass just wrote a thing that he read aloud in class. He's like, I think it's actually really brave of people to go on stage and like just make up stuff or just like even say lines. I would never have the courage to do that. And I was like, well, still hate you, but thanks. Fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I got into acting. Like I didn't. Yeah, like bands. I didn't form a band until after I actually dropped out of college. Like I tried forming a band. Like I didn't try forming a band. I tried seeing if anybody wanted to form a band with me, but in high school. But obviously, it's like no.
So real quick before we get into the bands, and what sort of acting were you doing? Were you doing plays?
Yeah. That's all they had. In Georgia. It was surprisingly, they had the school I went to had like the largest. Like one of the largest high school auditoriums and stages in the country. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that was a really big advantage. It was like I'm glad I'm not into math or science because this school isn't going to help me. But like theater, oh boy, here we go. So yeah, I did Shakespeare stuff, Holocaust. It was like all the stuff that like all
Anne Frank.
Yeah, no, not Anne Frank specifically, but like every high schooler, just like when it comes to like dramas, like what do we need? Oh, we need to do one about Holocaust. We need to do one about like high school kids dying, maybe violently, and AIDS. You need to go like all three of those, or at least 2 out of 3,
right
in there. Plus musical theater, which I also did.
Oh yeah, what musicals were you in?
I was in Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella.
All right.
Yeah, I played the page, which is a bigger part than you think. I was also in what was it? I was in Fiddler on the Roof. Fiddler on the Roof. Played model. I usually scored pretty decent parts. I got up there as far as high school drama club goes.
So you were getting like, if not the leads, maybe like the co-lead.
Yeah.
Awesome. So and then was there a point where you thought, oh, I'll do this? This is
Well, yeah, like all the theater kids like thought that. We all pretty much went to the same college afterwards. There was like
what college is that?
Piedmont. It was like a private Methodist college, like about 7 hours away from us in northern Georgia. Like we all pretty much went on a theater scholarship to that place. It was weird. It was also because it was like, are they really desperate for actors? Because it says the minimum entrance SAT score is 1,000, and I got like a 970. So just like, whatever, come on down. It's like, all right. So yeah, we all went there, and I thought like when I was there, theater was fine, but like eventually I was like, this isn't enough. I don't know if I want to do this, like just this. Theater. Or whatever the fuck, and this small Georgia college isn't doing it for me. So like after like the first year more or less, I'm like, fuck this, I'm gonna go out to LA.
Oh, you lived in LA?
No, I never got to LA.
Oh, okay.
I got as far as Colorado, and then I had to turn around because I was helping my dad escape a fucking girlfriend and a DUI charge.
So you and your dad were cool by that point.
Yeah, we're cool by that. Like, that was the thing. Is like
you would hope.
Up until that point, like I hadn't really gotten to do the kind of things my dad did, and I thought it was like like I'm this musical theater dork, and my dad is fucking Harvey Keitel, and so like it was during like me staying with him during the summer in Colorado that we finally got to. We're like bonding as father and son, and as men, and now as fucking co-conspirators.
Okay.
Yeah, so just like we did this whole thing where it's like he was gonna have to do 20 days for a DUI, but it was over Christmas,
right?
And I was like, so what do you want to do? He's like, fuck it, I don't even like this state. Let's get the fuck out of here. So we ended up like, he didn't have a job at the time, so like I ended up like saving all my money from a telemarketing job with his girlfriend also had at the time. Like saving after weeks and weeks, and the idea is like one day when everybody's off at work, we're just gonna like leave. And we did. Like that was the thing. I was like I had to get fired on purpose rather than quit.
Right.
For like cover.
Okay.
Also just to get my check the next day rather than wait for 2 weeks. So like I had to figure out how to get fired on purpose. Like after enough weeks of going like, Dad, can I do it yet? And like eventually he's like, all right, get fired. And I'm like, all right. And then I get there and like, wait, shit, how do you get fired on purpose? I've had like 2 jobs in my whole life. So I get there and it's telemarketing, and I was like, okay, I'll just sleep on my desk. Fuck it. And put my head down, and like 5 minutes go by, and a supervisor tasks me, says, if you don't sit up, I'll make you stand. And I'm like, okay, well, fuck, plan B, I guess. And then what else can I do? Oh, I'll just I won't push sales. So anybody calls me up like, hey, this is Jake Hart. Would you like to buy a titanium MasterCard? Not really. Cool. And just hang up.
Right.
And I'll just do that. But like, nobody said anything. Like, a couple hours going by, and now I'm starting to feel insulted that nobody's paying attention to these great ideas of mine. So I turned to the guy next to me, and we pushed our mute button that you pressed. So like the monitoring department above us can't hear when you have a question or you just want to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
So I turned to him and was like, dude, push your button. He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm trying to get fired. Do you want to help me out? He's immediately like, yes. Because fuck this hellhole.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like on the count of three, just like let your button go up. And I'm like, okay. He's like, 1, 2, 3. And I start telling this story. A friend of mine told me about himself. And my friend has a very thick upstate New York accent. And I included that with the story. And I go, so yeah, I'm just banging the shit out of this fucking chick, she's sitting on top of me, just fucking, I am climbing up the mountain, I am fucking this mountain up, and then like, in the middle of it, I don't know what the fuck I did this, I just like, it's exciting, I don't know, in the moment, you just do some dumb shit, I fucking backhand her in the head, she fucking tumbles off me, goes on the side, I run around the side, make sure she's okay, and she's on her knees, and blood's coming out of her nose, and I don't know why, it's really funny to me, so I fucking laughed, I just laugh so hard, and she doesn't, that's not funny to her, so she fucking starts hitting me in the head, and I think that's funnier, so I just start laughing harder, so she hits me fucking harder, and more blood comes out, and that's funny too. Oh fuck, man, that was a good night, and nobody still said anything to me. It's like, god damn it. So I go and break, and I'm trying to figure out, it's like, well, the next plan D is kicking the boss in the balls. I mean, maybe that'll give me a write-up. Who knows? And then I go inside.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, right? It's just like, holy shit, who do I have to throw a rock at? And then, like, I get in there and I sit, and then, like, 5 minutes later, the supervisor says, Jake, get your jacket and come with me. And it's like, all right, okay. Trying to not skip all the way to wherever we're going. And then we get to the project manager's office and sit down, and she informs me that my position here at Future Call has been terminated due to the fact that I was not pushing sales. Also that I was falling asleep at my desk, and apparently I had been talking about my sex life over the phone. And in my mind, I'm just like, oh, good, all 3 reasons? Jesus Christ, I didn't think you were paying attention to anything. But then I just shrugged, and I was just like, I'm sorry, Mondays or something dumb. I don't know.
Oh, the worst.
And then
who's at their best?
I'm getting up to leave, and then she's informing me just before I get up that she's like, if I wish to reapply to Future Call again, I may do so within 3 months. And I was like, go fucking die. Mm-hmm. This is a place that I get written up if I was not. I refused to like try to sell credit cards to recent widows. Yeah, so like if they're like, oh, sorry, my husband's dead, I'm not really using a credit card. I was told by them to say, well, my condolences, ma'am. However, with your husband gone, I'm sure there's lots of unpaid bills around the house. And I was like, oh, wow.
Deplorable.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not in business anymore.
I would imagine so. I've had jobs like that, and it's just those fucking worst.
Yeah. We were gone. Yeah, so we packed up the van like 2 days later.
Right.
And like we headed out, and it was kind of sad because like we're also leaving behind like her kid. The girlfriend's kid is there, and like it's summer, so he doesn't have to go to school. So all he does get to do is see us pack up a van, and like have my dad tell him why we're leaving, and like he's the only dad figure he's ever had in his life. It's really sad. And then like he feels bad, so he calls up her at work to tell him what's actually doing as a courtesy, and they get into it on the phone. He's like, yeah, you know what, fuck you, hangs up, and then we get in the van and drive away. And it's just it's nerve-wracking because I'm the one driving because neither of us have a license at this time.
Right.
But like I'm I'm the one without a record, so if we get pulled over, it's better if I'm behind the wheel.
Yeah.
This is actually how I learned to drive.
Is helping your dad evade the law.
Yeah. Like I mean, I've been like doing like driving before with other things, but like this is really how like me driving on fucking like highways and like under pressure and shit.
Right.
So like we're doing that for a couple hours, and then we get like we stop, take a piss, and then we come back out. We like plant our seats in the van, and like as soon as we do that, we see across the highway from us in the roundabout, another car pulls up in there. Turns around, and then it's like, holy shit, we see that it's his girlfriend's car, and she like she must have like got in her car as soon as she hung up with us and like did 90 the entire time trying to catch up. Saw it was our van and fucking pulled up next to the side and said like, "You are so fucking dead. I called the fucking cops on you. I called the fucking bail bondsman on you." And I'm freaking. I'm ready to break off the steering wheel from tension. And like he gets in the car with her and they talk for like it seems forever. And then he gets out and then like he asks her something again and she like shakes her head and closes the door and then she drives away. And he gets back in the van like, what the fuck? Are we caught? Are we arrested? What? She's like, oh no, I figured it out. She's like, basically all she wants to be able to do is go back to work and tell all her dumb friends that she kicked me out. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. I just want to leave. So yeah, a few hours later we were out of Colorado. I never made it to LA, and I have not rooted for the Rockies ever since.
I imagine not. Just be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you can say fuck you to the Rapids also.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. I was excited to spend that summer with them because I was born in Colorado.
Uh-huh.
I had only been there for 2 weeks because, like, my parents were the type that met while hitchhiking.
Right.
Yeah, so, like, they were only there for a couple weeks, and then, like, we went to another state. But, like, I was, like, looking forward to this, and then Colorado turned out to be this fucking typhoon of just like, huh?
Right. You get to relive the moment where, I don't know if it was your dad or mom was like, hey, are you heading my way? Yes. Yes, I am.
Yeah, I don't even remember, like, what I told my mom at the time. I was like, because we ended up drifting around the different states and, like, different family members for, like, 6 months.
Uh-huh.
It was nuts.
Right. How old were you when this was happening?
18.
18. Okay.
This is in 98.
98. All right. So you're 18. So, okay. So how does this resolve itself? You don't get to LA, but from there,
What happens after that?
Yeah, what happens after that?
I go back to Georgia where my mom is, and I like kind of live with her, get an odd job just for like a few months, and then like a friend of mine in Athens, Georgia, fucking says that I have a floor that he can sleep on for like $100, and like I'm not doing anything, and like this is a really cool old friend of mine, and I go there. And I was like, I think, like, it's Athens, Georgia, and that's a really big music town, especially in that year. This is like,
like
99 when this is offers thrown on the table. And then, actually, no. I went to live with a friend live in the college town that I went to college first, which was like about an hour north of Athens.
Mm-hmm.
I went there first for like a month or two, I guess, and then my friend told me like, "Hey, come to Athens if you're not doing anything." And I was like, "Okay, sure." And like, I went to his place, and like Athens was again like big music town, and that's where I finally found people that started my first, actually, really my only band with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was Texas Death Machine.
Texas Death Machine, yeah.
Uh-huh. And how? So you guys started playing around Georgia, and how big did you guys go on the road, or?
We went to one festival.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it was pretty much just like gigs around town.
Yeah.
We didn't really have any ambition outside of like what we were owed in our own minds, I think.
Uh-huh. What the world owed you.
Right, because we're also, we're a band called Texas Death Machine. We had like, fucking Nashville Pussy, Guns N' Roses, Quadrojets whole feel to us.
Uh-huh.
So we're like pussy and beer, that kind of thing. But not, not misogynistic about it, but the fun aspects of pussy and beer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It'd be like, yes, pussy and beer can be a quite delightful weekend activity.
Yeah, we had songs
especially when combined.
Yeah, we were also goofy kids who were like into like like horror movies and sci-fi shit and like psychobilly. So we have songs like Space Titties and Rumble Fuck. So that mean nothing, but we think are funny.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys were like really just punk rocking it up, like
we're more like hard rocking it up, and like with kind of I guess like punk.
Right, because someone had a cowboy hat, right?
Yeah, my singer Robin, he wore a cowboy hat a lot of time because he was like very influenced by the Super Suckers.
Uh-huh.
It was a weird band because like everybody else in there was either like punk rock or hard rock, and I was into like I was mainly just like into playing lead guitar.
Yeah.
And like I liked hard rock and punk rock, but like I didn't like I couldn't really. I was still coming out of my shell as like a theater dork and like like an old religious, my background. Like
Yeah.
even though we were in this band called Texas Death Machine, I had a thing about wearing jeans. Like I couldn't wear jeans, so I was still wearing khakis. You can see this video on YouTube of me, us playing in like this Heavy Rebel Weekender festival in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Like everybody else looks like they're in a band called Texas Death Machine, while I'm like fucking skinny and shirtless in khakis. I'm in khakis, and it's just like, why are you here? And then but then the thing that kept me in this band was just like, I was fun. I was fun to be around, I guess, most of the time. I was a great drunk guitarist. Yeah, I could definitely play.
Yeah. So you can play and you can be fun on stage.
Yeah, it was very fun on stage. It was weird trying to reconcile that, like, because my old, self in high school would have been like, oh my God, I would never be able to do that. And now I'm doing all that shit. So that was, a lot of the Texas Death was also just like breaking away from my old back self.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think now I think I'm seeing that this is the conclusion I'm going to draw. So punk rock kind of gets you to kind of come out of your shell a little bit, maybe makes you a little bit, maybe brings you a little bit closer to who you are.
Not so much punk rock, like if you're going like actual punk rock, because like in high school I started hanging out with punk rock kids who were like way more hardcore and badass than I was, and like a lot of their music I was just like, oh, okay, that's too angry about something that I don't understand to get behind. But like I was mainly into like hard guitar, like hard guitar riffs, like catchy stuff. Which is like why Bad Religion was like probably my favorite punk band of all time, because like
good riffs.
There's amazing riffs and harmonies, and just like like a lot of times I'll forego lyrical content of a song because I'm so focused on guitar. It's like, well, it fits with the guitar.
Yeah.
But like with Bad Religion lyrics, I'm like, oh no, wait, what's he saying? I need to know.
Oh yeah, especially for Bad Religion, there's a lot of 5-syllable words.
Mm-hmm.
You need a dictionary if you're going to be a fan of that band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think Stranger Than Fiction was like the first their album of theirs that I heard. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of people were just like, oh, fuck you, that was on Atlantic labels. Like, fuck you, that album's great. I don't give a shit what anybody says. And I'll go to my grave saying like the Stranger Than Fiction version of 21st Century Digital Boy is better than the fucking Against the Grain version.
Right on.
Yeah. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but
I don't know if I know. I don't think I know that particular song. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Now I think I'm seeing it. The reason I think that you like me, despite all reasons, every reason saying that you shouldn't, is because I think that at one point we had a lot more in common.
We probably did. Like something went really wrong with me, and then like something only went kind of wrong with you.
Right, but I took it as if something really wrong happened, because again, I don't know why. I guess maybe I'm just soft, but
I mean we're both soft. Like despite all my bullshit, it's like I'm one of the softest fucking people on the planet.
No, yeah, you're a chill dude beneath all of the because I've seen at your show, like, because the thing I like about your show is you have a very prescribed set of not rules but conditions that a performer has to meet, and if they stray from them in any way, you will let them know about it.
Yeah, I will interrupt you if you're not telling a story. If you start doing your tight five or you're just rambling about your feelings, like who gives a fuck? We're here to hear stories, dude.
Yeah, or I think I remember one time, I can't remember who it was, but it was some girl. She like said, "Can I like run this?" And you're like, "Nah."
What's this like?
I think it was like I think it might have been a bit or something like that, or it might have been more of an anecdote. Because the thing, sometimes people come to your show and do more of an anecdote.
I think maybe thinking of Janice Matias, like she wanted to like play a song before she went up on stage to do her story. It's like, don't do that. Your story is going to be good enough on its own. Just go.
See, that's the kind of thing that most people would pay money to be heard in a class, to hear in a class.
Oh.
But you just give it to them, just that pure, unfiltered Jim Beam, Jake.
Yeah, well, I also like yelling at people when they think it's like, oh, do I need to add stuff? It's like, no, just tell a story. Why do you think we're at a story mic? That's all we need. We need the stories. You got them? Good. Tell them.
Mm-hmm.
So
again, the Spartan punk rock way about it. Three chords.
I guess.
And no, I over intellectualize and just wax philosophic.
I don't know if I intellectualize enough because a lot of my stories was like, I don't know why I did that, but I did. So.
Well, I think there's something to that. I mean, like, I'll have to come to your show the next time you do it because I want to see, like.
It was yesterday. You missed it. It was great.
Oh, I fucked up.
Yep. Tim Dillon, we had him drop in and do a story.
No, I meant your one-man show.
Oh, my one-man show. Oh, okay. I thought you meant the dump.
No. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back to the dump soon. I just need to have something new to work on because I don't want to just go and repeat the stories I'm doing in my one-man show right now.
Oh, no worries. But Tim Dillon did drop in, and he was a monster. He was great. People should fucking put him on This Is Not Happening.
They should because he is so fucking funny. I'm scared of him.
Yeah,
but, like,
he's like a lot of us. Like, you're scared initially, but like he's probably pretty cuddly when you get him, like calm down or something like that.
Right. But no, I kind of want to ask what his story is about, but I don't want to ruin other people's. It's on there. Let me ask you this.
I can say it had to do with a murder trial he was a juror on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's going to be good when that gets released. That's going to be worthy of money.
It is. Ugh.
That's so much money. That's fucking great. So here's where I want to get to. So from your bands, how do you get into? Did you start comedy in New York or did you start in Georgia?
I started it in New York. I came to New York for comedy.
In 2005.
Yeah, initially I wasn't doing anything. I was working at a bar back as in a fucking hotel bar, and I was just trying to figure out what to do. And I was like, I don't know. New York is probably cool. I remember hearing a bunch of cool shit about it in the movies and books and shit. And then I just Googled, like, something comedy, acting, whatever. And then, like, Upright Citizens Brigade Theater was apparently a thing. I was like, oh, I remember those guys. Hell yeah, Ass Pennies. They got a theater? Great. I'll go. So
you started going there?
Yeah, like, I drove up to New York one day, lived in my car for about, like, 4 days, found an SRO room. And eventually I started going there and attending shows. Like I was there every night, just like fucking 3-4 shows a day.
So you were just seeing everything.
Oh yeah, I was just like there all the time. I was just fucking eating it all up, man. It was great. I had never seen anything like the improv. The improv they were doing at the time there.
Right, which was I don't know a ton about improv, so
there were like a lot of the people you see on TV like were in the groups that I started watching. Like Mailer Damon and the Shoves, and Death by just Stepfathers. Stepfather's still there. Like Death by Ruru, which is one of the reasons I.
Oh, the Stepfathers are still there?
I think so.
Does Gethard still do stuff with them?
I don't know. I haven't seen a fucking improv show there in years.
I know. The last one I saw was the Daily Show writers.
Okay, no, but like Death by Ruru, there was like they're like the greatest fucking. They would say they're the greatest improv group in the motherfucking world, and I was like, yeah, they are. Like guys like Curtis Gwynn, Jonathan Gemberling, Anthony Atamnik, Jackie Clark, Neil Casey, fucking Adam Pally, Gil Zeri, just all kinds of fucking. All awesome people that are like doing awesome things in TV and movies now. Yeah, those were the guys. I was like, oh man, that is what you're supposed to do with improv. That shit is hilarious. This isn't annoying like most improv.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And did you eventually like take classes there or get on?
I did take classes there.
On a team.
I was taking no. Again, wasn't really good.
Okay.
I was either very hit or very miss. Like when I hit, I was like, okay, that was a good move. That was funny. That was a scene you built. But like if I didn't, it was really awful.
Gotcha.
I was just like, I can't relate to people. How do I fucking start to fucking build a scene when I can't relate to what people are? Is how I thought of it myself. And so like I didn't get on a team. I took classes there, and then like at one point I was made unemployed and homeless for a little while, and then but like eventually I got back on. I started classes before I found a permanent residence again. So I was like, nope, got to get that 202 character beat class in there. So
right
before I can lay on a bed that's mine. But I did that, and because I really liked it when improv's done right, it's really one of the greatest things to watch.
Oh,
But
yeah.
again, it's not a thing I'm good at anymore. I think my old group reunited like a couple years back, and like I was just so awful. I was not connecting with anything. I was not adding anything. I couldn't process how to do any of this. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't that great of it back in the day. Like we had this group. My group was called Bad Luck Rising, and it was often just like touted as like the Bad News Bears of improv, and it was like, oh yeah, well, except the Bad News Bears were good sometimes, but like we were kind of good. We were fun to watch. That was a thing. Like we were more fun to watch than good.
No, yeah, I definitely know what that is. Yeah, even though it may not be technically like excellent improv, it's still entertaining.
Yeah, well, that's how I view my storytelling now. It's like I'm not the best, but I think I'm fun to watch.
I think so too.
Thank you.
And how did you start doing storytelling, moving from stand-up? What
Well,
got
no,
you
like
into that?
I'd given up on stand up pretty much within the year that I tried it in '06, and like this was I think 2011, and like I wasn't doing improv anymore. The group had disbanded. I just really had nothing going on, and then like I think John Flynn was doing a mic called "Oh Hey Guys" at UC Beast. And I showed up and I was like, oh man, I wanted to try storytelling years before when they were doing Nights of Our Lives at UCB in '06. When guys like Gethard and Gwyn and Tamanek, but Tamanek is my fucking storytelling god. When they were doing stories like that, like I didn't know about the Moth until like years after Nights of Our Lives. Nights of Our Lives were stories about people like just being in fucking, gang attacks and like meth and hookers and just like invading college campuses, and all kinds of nutty shit. And like John Flynn was one of those guys too, and he ran a mic. Oh hey guys at UC Beast, and he's one of the guys. John Flynn is just a fucking amazing and engaging storyteller. Like he just knows how to charm an audience, and just like as well as just being technically proficient in storytelling, also just having an insanely interesting life.
Right.
So I just kept going back to that mic, and like, finally, I think I can do something in comedy that I'm halfway decent at. And I was like, I ended up getting like I've gone up on the UCB stage the most out of anybody who ever attended that mic in like the couple of the years that it was going on. Yeah.
That was John Flynn. Okay. And then how did you start doing your show?
You're gonna ask John Flynn. The dump. It's basically I just ripped off John's show. Which I mean, like like he said, like nobody's got a copyright on the open mic format, but like his thing was like 8 minutes, and he had a different co-host every week. So that's basically what I did, but I called my show The Dump.
Okay.
But like just because of the stuff that I had happen in my life, like the name The Dump, I guess it naturally, organically focused on like really fucked up true stories. Or you could tell that kind of story at Flynn's mic too, but like it wasn't as pervasive over there as it was with me. Yeah, I started doing that at the Pit.
Okay, so yeah, that was at the Pit, and then I remember there's a story about you moving your show from the Pit.
Oh, I didn't really move it. It got suspended because fuck. Why is everything's a fucking story with me? And
No, that's what makes you awesome, man.
maybe it's just but like it's also annoying that I can't just sum up things with like one or two sentences. Well, what happened was blah.
Yeah, no, this will be good. I think this will be a really beautiful way to close out.
Okay, well, like I'd been there a few months, and was, starting to get a small follow, very small, but like loyal following going. Like people liked going to the mic. They would shuffle the times around, like when I could do it, like what hour I could do it, and like how long I could do it. But like generally it's like, okay, well I still have this show, and like I'm doing well with this as far as storytelling mics go back in like 2011.
Yeah,
because they weren't as commonplace as they are now. So I'm doing that for a little bit, and I'm also working at this at the time. A little, like a couple months after I started, like I had to move out of my girl's place. We broke up, and then I lost the job that I had for a couple of years, and then like I got a new job eventually at this French American bistro on Avenue A between 8th and 9th, and that was a place that like introduced me to what like a real independent restaurant was, like where what it made me appreciate like what food should be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when
Yeah.
somebody reads Kitchen Confidential.
Right. I
Yeah.
have that book right over there, actually.
Oh yeah. I've read it a bunch, and like this is the kind of place that like made me appreciate what you could actually do with food and what food was, and like French cuisine and preparation for all that shit. Because like before, I was just like, all right, food, who's got it? I'll eat some. And they like, you know, not only was the food there amazing, but just like the environment, like the artwork was like, you know, like old school, like 30s stuff imported from other countries. And the owner was like, the guy who ran it was like this amazing French guy who also hated the French, so we got along. Because he's like, I know why everybody's annoyed by the French. I'm annoyed by them too. You know, it's like, it's like he got it, and like, you know, it was the kind of place where like a regular would just like walk in and play chess with the dude at the bar, and just, you know, like some again, great food, great staff. Just like this was like if you had a restaurant, if you had to work in a restaurant, this is a fucking restaurant you'd want to work at. But like by the time I got there, like a year and a half beforehand, like the place had been around for 14 years, and like they had lost money. Like it wasn't as profitable as it used to be. And I guess like the owner, like fucking, he got wasted one day and just like tried to do a half-ass insurance money grab by setting a pile of napkins on fire in the middle of the day. You're like trying to like torch the place for fucking insurance money or something. It's like, we mean, well, everybody's here. Like at least the story that I got, and like eventually he quickly realized like, oh, that was dumb. Why did I do that? But like enough of the fire spread to where it was like almost attempted arson. It's like, dude, this is a fucking building where people live in. Holy shit, man.
Right.
And then like so like the cops got called and he got charged with like attempted arson. And that didn't work well for him. Like it was just money. They were still losing money, and like the charges were weighing on him, and like legal fees, I guess. And so like eventually, Hurricane Sandy happened.
Yeah.
That year. That was October 11. Yeah, and then his sentencing was coming up, and or like he'd already gotten sentenced or something like that, but it was coming up. And then like Hurricane Sandy happened, and like this place was in, you know, East Village, which is where like the flood zones are like more severe. And so like we were all, you know, we left the day before, we all went to like Brooklyn or whatever we lived, and we couldn't come back for almost a week. And when we came back, he had scrapped out the inside of the whole place, and it was like that was like the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And he told us, I was like, well, I either sell off to one potential investor or I declare bankruptcy, and I'm going to Rikers for 6 months. And it was really sad because, like, not only is he going to Rikers, he's French, so, like, he's getting deported as well, and he's got a family here, so he can't come back to the States.
But his family's here.
His family's still here, I think, a little bit. I think they're trying to gradually move over there, but, like, yeah,
So he can't get back.
he can't get back. He's a felon.
Right. So he's just done.
He's done
here
with the New York. And so, like, he's like, well, but there's all this wine in the cellar. Fuck it, let's drink it. We drank all this fucking wine in the cellar. I drank, like, 2 or 3 bottles on my own. So depressed. Like, I'm never going to fucking... And during that time, there was, like, a problem at the pit with, like, to me, with, like, admission prices for open mics.
Right.
Like, the dump use was free. But then they were wanting to charge, like, $1 for everybody, like, for stand-up and the storytelling mics.
I remember that switch.
Yeah, and I was like, no, that makes me feel really contaminated. That makes me feel awful. Just having to ask people for $1 just for this. I was like, and I told the AD there, like, look, dude, how about I'll just pay. You do a head count or whatever, and I'll pay for everybody. So don't charge them $1 because it's gonna like take away the fucking sanctity that I value about like having this spot and this show that I run. And he's like thinking, I was like, okay, we might be able to do that. But then like all that shit happened, and then like I drank all that wine, and I came. And it was the day of the show, so like I drank all the wine, and then I went over to the pit, and I got on stage. And again, I don't remember this, just like when I stole that bottle of Beam. But apparently, according to everybody else, I just got on stage and I screamed the story that everything that had just happened to me about like all these guys that I'm never going to work with again, that I'm unemployed and I can't pay for the admission prices for you guys anymore because I don't have a job and I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Whatever. the first storyteller is, and apparently it just kept being like, God damn it, I'm so drunk in between everybody. And so the next day, yeah, I was a fucking mess. And the next day, the AD was like, hey man, you just went fucking nuts me yesterday. What the shit was that about? And I was trying to explain to him, but he wasn't having it. So like my show got suspended for a month, and I thought it was like if I was good for the probationary period of that month, I'd get the show back. I didn't. They didn't have a use for me. So went a couple months without anything. Then I asked Rebecca at the Creek in the Cave. I was like, hey, I did this at the Pit. Would you might be interested in having me do it there? And she was. She gave me 2 hours as opposed to the 1 hour I used to have, or like whatever time they would let me have.
Right.
She's like, yeah, how's 2 hours on Tuesdays sound? And I was like, that sounds, what? Thank you.
Oh,
Jesus.
no, Rebecca's like a magical human.
Yeah, and I was like, what? I don't deserve this, but like, I'm not gonna say that. And like, I was trying to keep all the shit that happened at the Pit like from her, but it turns out she already knew.
Right.
And I think that's why she liked it. She was like, oh yeah, come down. We don't have a storytelling mic, and I heard about that. That's funny. So yeah, 3.5 years later, still at the Creek.
Still at the Creek, and the show is great. It helped me out a bunch. I wouldn't have a one-man show if your show didn't exist there.
Thank you, man. Like, your stories helped make the show grow into what it was. You know, like, because you're like one of my favorite, like, especially in the early days, you're one of my favorite guys to like get up on that stage, despite your musical taste.
Oh, of course, which luckily don't bleed into my stories too much.
Not they do, but like when they do, it's appropriate, and they're supposed to bleed into them.
Yeah.
So it's fine. I allow it.
I appreciate that, Jake. And your show's great. I can't wait to see your one-man show. And I'm going to get back to the Dump again soon, because that is a really great environment that you set up.
Thank you. I'm not a hero, but no. Yeah. Like, I've done a bunch of dumb shit. I'm sure everybody else has, and that's why I created the show. I ripped off John Flynn's format and just like put a different name on it. So,
well, John, you're starting great things, and
yeah, John, this is all your fault. Like I've said many a times.
I should try to get him on.
What, this show? Yeah, totally. I want him to come back to New York one of these days and get him on the Dump.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I've had him like way in the early days. Yeah, but if anybody's interested, like if this comes out when I'm doing it, the name of my one-man show is Get Out, a show about not learning anything.
Yes, and if you've got dates coming up, let me know, and I'll plug them. And the Dump is every Tuesday at the Creek in the Cave, 8 to 10?
Yep, 8 to 10 on the main stage.
Sounds good, man. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me, dude.
I appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay, guys, real quick, before we end for today, I just want to make sure everyone's aware. Jake's show, The Dump, is also currently being turned into a web series. The first episode is on YouTube right now. If you Google Jake Hart, The Dump, it'll come right up, and I'll have a link to it in the description. The first episode features a comedian and storyteller, Danny Hatch, who you might know from Keith and the Girl, and it's a really well put together webisode, so I think you guys would like it out. And if you're in the New York City area, make sure to check out The Dump at the Creek in the Cave, Tuesdays 8 to 10. And as always, you can go to my website, willcarriousfunny.com, for info on my upcoming stand-up shows. And thank you guys for listening, and I will see you next week between Awesome and Disaster. Take care.